Guild Gamers live podcast presented to you by Petrie's Family Games. And I am Robert. To my left, your right, is JD.
Hello.
And we welcome you to part 1 of episode 1. This is exciting, isn't it?
It's very exciting.
It's a lot different. So, you all have seen JD before. She does our weekend updates.
It's true.
During the week, right? Mm-hmm. When do you usually do those?
I try and hit somewhere between Wednesday and Friday, depending on what's going on and whether or not there's a lot going on in the store, and have to avoid some noise for your sake.
And for those of you that don't know myself, I am a longtime gamer and troll of Petrie's Family Games. I don't do a lot of gaming here. I actually do a lot of gaming at the house, my family games, so I have a lot of opportunities to game at home. So, yes, I don't come out very often other to give Cameron my money, which a lot of us do.
Well, I hear that's kind of changing, though.
Yes. Today, my son and I, we're going to be gaming in a tournament today. But, so, what else do we got?
Well, we are excited to announce with our very first episode that we are going to be doing this, maybe on kind of a regular basis. But for today, the format's going to be kind of exciting because we're going to be doing this in 4 segments. And so if you just happen to miss one of those segments, that's okay. You can come back for the next one, and we will be uploading them later on YouTube in its full.
Yep. So we're going to take each 4 segments, splice them together, put them all up on one video on YouTube, which will be posted up after today.
Right. Yeah. We're also hoping to bring you some exciting guests. We're going to be featuring some of our exciting events as they're happening, conventions, tournaments, and just some of our regular annual favorites. And we invite you to come back and see the next episodes. But of course, we would rather you come to the events.
Yes. So let's get down to our first live cast, or live podcast. Live cast, as the hipsters would say. But live podcast, we're here to share with you some pretty awesome events during our first segment that we have going on at Petrie's this month and next month. So mark your calendars. But just in case you forget, all you have to go is to the website, which is
petriesgames.com. How easy is that?
And there is a tab that says calendar.
There is a tab that says calendar.
Or does it say events?
Nope, it says calendar.
There you go.
Of course, we also have the scroll on the front page that just features some of our upcoming events as well. If you just want to, drool over what's coming up next.
And before we talk about upcoming events, our live cast today is powered by the fine folks at Fantasy Flight Games. Today at Petrie's, we are hosting a Keyforge Call of the Archons Survival Tournament, which basically is double elimination. You bring 2 decks. Once you lose with both, bye Felicia. I'm sorry. We'll be checking in with our Archons throughout the day, giving you updates on the tournament as we talk about all the stuff that's going to be going on today. And we're going to even show you and you how to play Keyforge, just in case you have no idea what it is.
I don't.
But let's move on. Let's tell them about our upcoming events.
Like we said, we want to make sure that you know that our calendar is always available on petriesgames.com. We also try and keep our Facebook page updated with the events that are coming, especially the recurring events, because we do have a lot of those, and we're not going to talk about those today. We do have Magic the Gathering Ravnica Alliance's pre-release happening on January the 19th. It is a midnight release, and then we have a 10 a.m. tournament and a 10... Goodness, and then I think a Doublehead Giant is at 6.
So we have the midnight release, and then it's 10 a.m. the next morning?
Yeah. So some guys just stay all day from midnight on.
I think it was at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
I think it was 10. So midnight Saturday,
Friday night.
Okay. So we have to be specific.
That's
You
true.
have to be here midnight between Friday and Saturday night, that
Right.
transition. Then Saturday morning, 10 a.m., and then at 6 p.m.
That's right. And, every Friday night is FNM, so if you feel like just pulling an magic all-nighter, you can totally do that.
What is FNM?
FNM is Friday Night Magic.
Oh!
Every Friday.
And you mentioned Ravnica Alliance. What is that?
That's the latest release that's coming out. Magic is a game that keeps bringing new and exciting decks and themes, and so there will be new cards that are coming into play. Old cards will, just kind of shuffle off in this mortal coil and die the standard tournament death. And so we have new and exciting things coming in.
Okay. What do we got up next?
We will be continuing the Ravnica love on the MTG tournament thing. We've got another draft weekend coming up on Saturday, January 26th. And we've got a lot of that kind of magic.
A lot of
happening.
dueling tournaments, yes.
Yeah, a lot of those happening this month.
And we got some demos.
We do. We have really loved having Envoy come in because they bring in just a random assortment of their games that they have produced, and they bring in a very knowledgeable representative who will teach you how to play the game, and then you get to play in the game, and it's just really great family fun. They are a family-friendly company, and we just enjoy having them. And they are coming in on Sundays, and even Thursday. They're coming in on one Thursday for our board game
And
night.
usually you can find them up in the storefront at the big brown table, right behind the cadre, says cash register.
It's still early.
I know, right? I know. But it's an awesome opportunity to try a game if you're thinking about buying it, or maybe you just didn't even hear about it, and it's made by your favorite publisher or your favorite designer, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they really are a great way to just have somebody teach you something new and have a good family day out, especially since it usually happens after church and you can just come on over and play a game, and it's like perfect.
And so, starting next Sunday for the next 4 Sundays, they're going to be out. They typically post on the Petrie's Facebook page, which you're watching right now. If you're watching this, you need to be sharing. Tag your friends. It's going to be great. Or keep up on the calendar. Again, going back to the calendar.
We also are welcoming back our game designers meeting, and if you don't know what that is, that's okay, because the game designers meeting is really for local talent that are working on creating a game or have games published. Did you know that we have local people here that have published games on the shelf here?
We got Mr. B Games. Who else we got? I'm like drawing a blank. I came to the very first one because I actually am designing my own Press Your Luck dice game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's World War II themed, but I've been slacking. I haven't been making it back to the game designers meeting, which it's really cool. Come to the first one, which is Saturday, January 26th.
Yep.
And the time is on the calendar. Then you put your email address and you'll get notifications of updated meetings and things like that. It's a great opportunity for people to come together, and if they have an idea or if they have a prototype, to just present it, but get feedback.
Yeah.
You're not presenting it to a publisher to try to get it published. You're presenting it to other designers to get feedback to improve your product. Plus, they'll have stuff, and you get to get feedback or play test or things like that. It's really cool.
Yeah. We really love having those guys in, and they have just really been a great community of support to each other. But we also want to make sure that you know well in advance one of our beloved annual events will be back on February 2nd, the Couples Dessert. There is chocolate. There is a chocolate fountain. I mean, if you like chocolate. And there's usually cheesecake, which is incredible. And
You're killing me right now, right?
I'm sorry.
I'm on a keto diet, so I can't have sugar and carbs, and she's talking about desserts. I can do without bread, milk, cereal, but a milkshake, chocolate, all that's my vice. I'm so sorry.
We have a great spread, and for all of you gamer guys out there that are just never sure what to do for your girl around Valentine's Day, this is it. Couples Dessert Night is where we feature 2-player games. So you come in, you get to have an assortment of desserts, and we will have a selection of 2-player games. We always have volunteers on staff that will be going around to help you learn games if you're trying something new. But it's just a room full of like-minded people that are there to focus on games that you can play just by yourself. Because sometimes that's really hard to find a good 2-player game, and then you don't have anybody to play with because it's just you and your partner, you and your spouse.
And it starts at 6 p.m.
It does.
Saturday, February 2nd. What was the cost? It was
$25
per couple. $25. You can't beat that. Getting pampered, all you can eat desserts, until it's gone, and you don't have to worry about what you're playing. You're gonna have an assistant that's gonna teach you a game, and they're just gonna be rotating around. There's gonna be a ton of games. We're actually gonna be going live that night, just before the event, and presenting some of our favorite two-player, I can't say player today, 2-player friendly games and 2-player only games. Because maybe your spouse or your significant other or partner is your go-to gamer at the house, at the casa. So we're going to be presenting those, and we're going to be acting like paparazzi when the couples come in.
Oh yeah, we're going to give you the red carpet treatment.
Yeah. So we'll give you a preview for what it looks like, which is basically going to make you jealous that you didn't actually sign up and go.
Yeah, you really do need to sign up in advance because it is a beloved annual event, and I am not kidding about that. We fill up the game room, and if you've never been to our play space, it's not small. So we have a really good group of people, and we want to make sure that you have plenty of room so that you don't feel smooshed up against your non-couple partner.
All right. Oh, and then earlier that day, we have another Keyforge Call of the Archons adaptive tournament. We're just mixing it up here. Survival, adapted, sealed. We'll do it all.
That's true. We are loving the new Keyforge, as is apparently a lot of people. I'm sure we'll find out more about that later.
Yep. And what's the last thing we're going to highlight?
We are also having a D&D Ravnica RPG event, and for those of you who don't know, because Magic and D&D are, they enjoy telling a similar story, and so there's going to be, some companion storylines going on. We're going to have an event to start that off as Ravnica is starting again for Magic the Gathering.
Awesome. And those are just the highlights, the high points. If you go to click on the calendar, there's something for everybody.
Every day.
But you got to go to the calendar. You got to check it out. So it's just about time to start the Keyforge tournament. People are arriving, setting up, checking in. I just checked in myself and my 13-year-old son. He's competing today in his first tournament. I'm very excited. We've done lots of training.
Have you been practicing at home?
20 sessions.
Oh my goodness.
Just in the past week. Because, I've had to teach him etiquette. Like, he and I are at home, and, he likes to grab my card, destroyed. I'm like, don't touch. Number one rule, don't touch other people's stuff.
Yeah.
You can point, be polite, don't touch their stuff. So, JD and I will be back in just a couple hours, maybe sooner, maybe later. Click on your live notifications. And we're going to talk about, when we come back in a couple hours, new games that have just arrived in the store. And we may just have a special coupon code for you that you can use and get a discount.
Tune in.
So you got to come back. So thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And we'll be back soon. And welcome back. This is episode 1 of the Guild of Gamers live podcast, part 2. So it was a little bit longer break than expected.
Well, there's a lot going on today.
There was. So my son and I have been competing in the Keyforge tournament. I made it to the final 8, and it just kept going to the next. We started with 16, and I just lost. It was double elimination, but it was heart still beating. And my son's just out there. It's fun. Yeah, it was so cool. Yes, this is part 2 for today. If you missed part 1, just check out the videos tab on Petrie's Facebook page. And after we do all our live casts today, we may do 3, 4, 8. We'll combine them all down to one video and put it on our YouTube channel, and we'll make a post where you can find that link, because you will all be able to watch it in glorious high definition.
Ooh.
For free, other than those Google ads. We can't get rid of those. So before we talk about our next segment, our live cast today is powered by Fantasy Flight Games.
And we thank you.
Yes, we're doing that Keyforge tournament today. In segment number 3, the one after this one, we're going to have a special guest. He was a play tester for Keyforge. He's one of the liaisons for Fantasy Flight Games. He's going to come in and he's the man. He's going to teach everybody how to play.
Oh, you lucky dogs.
So, coming up in this segment, we're going to be talking about new games in the store.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
And will you let me go first?
Yes, please go first.
I am so excited that we can show you some of our new games that have hit the shelf. And my first game is Petra. Sorry, this was a little bit heavier of a box than I expected, but it's
Passing through Petra.
Yeah, passing through Petra.
Sorry, I love correcting her. You can
I
give me that angry face on the live. Just tap it. It's okay.
Well, it's because Petra is big and the passing through is small. But in the game itself, the passing through is big and the Petra is small, so that works out great. The board game is really spectacular. It has a lot going on, a lot of good, sturdy components. But that's what makes this a really attractive new game for our shelf, because it has some beautiful components. It plays in a little bit more of a complicated way than the average tabletop game that you might bring to your family. It's kind of a worker placement meets economic engine, and so you kind of have to figure out your own personal flow and how you want to combine those two kinds of game style together. But it has this beautiful, canyon wall that is leading you into the town of Petra. You are a up-and-coming,
Which you can see that
influential
little
citizen.
Canyon right there.
Isn't that cool? The caravans are coming in bringing goods, and as an influential, up-and-comer in Petra, you are trying to spread your influence by making trades and schmoozing people and taking advantage of some unique opportunities as they happen.
I like how she says, schmoozing people.
So it really is a nice, complicated game in that it allows you to have multiple different strategy styles. You can adapt as things go, because as your strategy, if you hold too tight to one strategy, it's going to kind of bite you in the patukas, if you know what I mean.
It's one of those balanced Euro games.
Right, but that also means that you just need to kind of take your time to learn it, because don't get too frustrated. By the time you are halfway through, everything's going to be making sense, and it's not as complicated as it looks. It's just a really good, smooth game.
How long does it play in?
It's about an hour.
About an hour?
But like with most games,
Okay.
the first time through, just give yourself a little time.
And how much?
Oh, that's right. It retails for $59.99.
Yeah. So, man, I love me for some... Nope, not yet. Renegade Game Studios. They're like a big... You know, they're really making a surge. They're not new on the scene. You know, they've done Clank in Space, really great publisher. And the big buzz is the West Kingdom series. They just released Architects of the West Kingdom.
That's right.
And then coming out next, is it Knights of the West Kingdom? Is part 2, and then there's another third. So they're doing a trilogy with the West Kingdom. So
Nice.
Up next, I'm going to be telling everyone about Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done. So this is from the fine folks at Tasty Minstrel Games. Oh my goodness. Feel how heavy that is. There's a lot of wood. This is the standard retail edition, because it was on Kickstarter, 826% funded on August 5th of 2017. So it's just been getting out to retail the past month or two, and over 4,100 backers help bring this to the distribution. And it's designed by Seth Jaffe. Seth Jaffe, right here. You guys and gals know Seth Jaffe for Eminent Domain and Terra Prime. So Eminent Domain was like really big deck builder when it really came out. So this is a brand new game that puts each of the players as a leader of their crusading order. So it's kind of interesting. We had the passing through Petra, then the Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done. It's like that same thematic era. And it uses a very innovative Mancala or Rondel, which you can see on the screen. You know, other games that are known for that kind of mechanic is Trajan, Trajan. So it's one of those Feld games, right? And it's got that mechanism. Players will move their knights throughout the board, throughout Europe and the Middle East. They'll battle with enemy knights. You'll be able to construct new buildings and train your troops, because you got to train them before you send them out. All the while trying to be the order that has gained the most influence for the end of the game. There's a lot of wood in that game. It's very, very heavy. It's pretty much an area movement game, and managing your resources on the Mancala for 2 to 4 players. And it plays in about 15 to 20 minutes per player. So for a full game of 4, for that kind of Euro game to play under 90 minutes, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. You can find Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done right here at Petrie's for $59.99.
Next up, we have a new expansion, and I know that expansions are kind of hard to promote as a new item, but the reason why this is important is this is the 10th anniversary expansion pack for Dixit. And if you haven't played Dixit, then you don't have family.
Never.
that enjoys a good family game. It's in the style of Apples to Apples, where everyone gets to participate, and there is a prime person that is giving a clue, and everyone's trying to find a card that's as close to what the clue giver is hinting at. But if you've ever played Dixit, then you'll know that having new and interesting cards to look at is always a good thing. It's also a great expansion pack, not on market for Mysterium, which also uses the same style of cards and has the same style of art. But that just means that you now have the ability to have more beautiful cards to surprise and delight you as you get new cards for your hand while you're playing Dixit with your family and friends. Oh, I should say that this retails now for $29.99, and yeah, we've got plenty for everybody. It's so shiny.
It's so shiny. So, rounding out our new game lineup is Arboretum. This is the deluxe version. Deluxe.
It's no joke.
This was reprinted again. Renegade Game Studios. They reprinted Arboretum. It was originally co-published in 2015 with Z-Man Games and several other publishers, about 4 other publishers. You can tell by the Z-Man cover, it's a green box with green card backs, and the fan base is kind of split 50-50 between whether they like the older art, the darker green, or the really bright new cards. So there really wasn't any changes. So in this is a nice wooden box, you know. The difference between the regular retail and this deluxe, the cards come in a wooden box and they're foil cards. As you can see the picture on the screen there. More shiny.
So shiny.
Do you remember, what was it, The Secret of Nim? You remember that movie?
Yes.
They all went after the shiny. The
Oh,
sparkly.
yeah.
The sparkly.
The crow.
So basically this is a tableau building card game. Okay, and with set management. So players try to have the most points at the end of a game by creating these beautiful paths in their arboretum. So I gotta switch to the next shiny because I just think it's, get a close up. There we go. There are the foil cards. The game is simple. Comes with 80 different cards in 10 different colors. Each color representing a species of tree. So, you know, you don't have to memorize the trees because they're all color coordinated. On each turn, a player draws 2 cards, lays a card in his or her, you have to be PC, his or her, or they, we can say they, tableau, and then discards a card into their personal discard pile. When the main deck is all gone, exhausted, finito, players compare their hands to determine who can score each color. I'm not going to go into the scoring. That's where there's a lot of details with scoring, but it's easy to follow in the rule book. But it's for 2 to 4 players, and it plays in about 6 to 8 minutes per player. So you can play this thing in 30 minutes or less with full 4 players. And man, we've got a lot of 2 to 4 player games. It feels like there's been a lot of chit chat on Board Game Geek where more and more games are coming out that max out at 4 players, and there's so many people that want that 5th player, you know. But what can you do?
I know our gaming group is usually pretty large, and we're trying to find like a really sleek 8-player game, because sometimes adding players just adds time. So that's the balancing game.
Yep. The normal edition retails for $19.99, or no, $24.99. Sorry, Cam. My bad. He's like pointing his finger through the window. It's not 19, it's 24.99.
Yeah, his angry face is not good.
I know. But the deluxe edition, $10 more, 24, 34. Retail, $24.99. Deluxe, $34.99. 80 foil cards and a beautiful box. It's engraved and everything. Ooh, it's colored.
Yeah.
It's colored. So.
Well, I think I know what you're trying to say. All of you viewers out there can find all of these games at Petrie's Family Games right here on the shelf. And just for tuning in today, I think what Robert was really trying to say is that we are going to be giving you a very special, exclusive discount code. If you come in anytime before the end of January and you let the register attendant know that you have a coupon code PFGS0119, you will get 10% off one product.
What was that code again?
Oh my goodness, you're going to make me say all the letters and numbers again.
PFGS0119. We just posted it in the chat. 10% off.
Yes, we did.
Till the end of the month, end of January. So.
Right.
So, this wraps up our new game segment for right now. But we're going to be back shortly within the next live cast with our special guest. From Fantasy Flight Games, but it won't be as long of a break. The reason for the long break before was I kept winning, and then I finally lost. So thanks for watching, everybody. We really appreciate your support. Keep checking us out, and is that it? Are we good?
We are good to go.
We are good to go.
We are so glad that you joined us for this segment, and join us again shortly.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That would help. Turning on the microphone. Forgot I paused that. So, we'll blame Cameron for that one.
Sure.
He didn't do the pre-audio check like he was supposed to.
I'm just very excited you didn't blame me. So.
Welcome back to the Gilded Gamers live podcast by Petrie's Family Games. And this is part 3 of our very first episode. We've brought somebody into our warped world. I am Robert. To my far left, your far right, is JD. And this is Mr. Matt Dawkins. Where are you from, Matt?
Oh, all over the place. I've lived here in Colorado Springs for about 9 years now, but I was born in Alabama and grew up in Houston.
Oh, okay. So, nice. I used to live in Texas too. Humidity is my nemesis.
There's a reason I've been here for 9 years now.
Yeah.
I was stationed here for 2 years and couldn't leave.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So, tell our viewers, you're associated with Fantasy Flight Games. Which?
Sort of.
Sort of. Hold on. We gotta give out a shout out. See, in the corner. This episode is powered by Fantasy Flight Games. Thanks. We're gonna use all your money and all your funding, and we're gonna do fun stuff with it. So what do you do with Fantasy Flight Games?
Sure. So when I first I just want to talk to you, though.
No, we're talking to them.
What's up?
Oh, me. So, I have been doing this for a few years now. I started with Netrunner at Petrie's. We ran a plugged-in tour. It was a big event where all the developers got to come and help teach Netrunner. That was 2013, so it's been 5 years now. I got to know some of the developers. I got to help out with playtesting. I've been running organized play events at Petrie's since then. And Yeah.
Tell us about bananas.
Oh, goodness. We have one player who, if you're familiar with Netrunner, one of the factions is Piranha Foods. And as kind of a gag for a tournament one time, he brought a bunch of bananas for everybody to eat during the tournament. And next thing we know, it's a regular thing. Every tournament, he comes in with a bundle of bananas.
Is that what the bananas were on the table?
So it got transferred over to Keyforge. Aaron is one of our organized play guys. He helps me run all the weekly stuff at Petrie's for Keyforge.
Oh, gotcha.
And it helps. There's a faction with apes, so tied that in, and yeah.
So Aaron Nager, he runs our organized league play for Keyforge, Call of the Archons, here at Petrie's every Tuesday night, starting at 6 p.m. He runs 4-week seasons. So, but you don't have to get in right at the first week. You can hop in anytime. It's a $5 buy-in, and they go every 4 weeks. It's a lot of fun. Every Tuesday night, and even though Petrie's closes at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays, right? 8 p.m.
Yeah.
They get locked in and they keep going. They're dedicated.
It happens a lot.
JD, do you have any questions for Matt before we get into Keyforge?
Well, I have to confess, I have never played this game ever. So.
Well, it's only been out since November, so I mean, you get a mulligan. It's okay.
I mean, I hear that it's the hottest new thing on the market, and everybody's playing it.
You seem like a big collectible card game player.
I used to be. I kind of transitioned into the more legacy and board game stuff, and kind of left the collectible card game world behind. Is that wrong?
No, it's just different. It's fine. It's fine. So, let's before we teach them about it, what makes Keyforge unique?
Sure. Well, it's funny that I said collectible card game. It's not technically a collectible card game. If you're familiar with CCGs, Fantasy Flight brought in their own line that's kind of similar called LCGs, but they're non-random distribution. Well, they went in a different direction with Keyforge. In Keyforge, you buy a deck, and that deck is unique to you. There's no other deck like it, and there never will be. I forget the amount. It's 14.
The printing technology on that, it's got to be crazy. I mean,
yeah.
Because each, and we'll get into it. We'll get into it. So we're going to transition over to our top-down camera. So this is one of my decks, but feel free. This is JD and our viewers' opportunity that have never learned, they don't know how to play, run them through the turn sequence and how to play and how it works.
Sure. So back to the unique card game aspect real quick. You're going to go buy one deck, and every deck has your own unique back, your own unique figure on it, and your own procedurally generated name.
Which some names are very interesting.
Oh.
You might be able to get a refund on some things.
I've heard about that. We won't go there, but we'll talk about that offline.
First thing you'll see on the back of your card is these 3 symbols here. Every deck you have has 3 houses.
Okay.
There's 7 houses in the game. The turn... boy, it's been a while since I've actually taught this. It's okay if I pick these up?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right. First thing you're going to do on your turn, you're going to have a hand of 6 to 7 cards, and it helps to sort them by house.
There you go.
All right, gotta stay on camera here. Who shuffled these?
It's okay.
All right. Anyway, one of the fun aspects about this is, as you're looking at all these cards, there are no resource costs. Instead, at the beginning of every turn, you're simply picking an active house, and that's one of these 3 houses here.
Okay.
And you can play as many cards as you want from that house on your turn.
Done.
The other thing that's rather unique about this is we tend to call this a dude basher, kind of like Magic, where you've got creatures on the board and you're throwing them against each other. But it doesn't really play a lot like one. Your win condition is trying to forge these keys. And in order to forge those keys, you have to get 6 amber. And then those don't flip.
Well, they do. Sorry.
Oh, they're already up.
They're already up. My bad. Cameron!
The start of your turn. Just blame Cam. Start of your turn, if you have 6 amber, you spend 6 amber and you forge a key. And of course, there's card effects and stuff that can change that, but generally speaking, that's how that works. And the first person to forge all 3 keys wins the game. So it actually plays a lot like a race rather than just throwing your creatures at each other.
Oh, that's not going to be good for me. I like bashing things until they don't move anymore.
Well, you'll still have plenty of opportunities for that.
Well, good.
Your different card types. You have action cards, artifacts, upgrades, and creatures. So you're going to have lines in the game as you play, kind of like this, where you'll put artifacts down here and creatures out here. And you'll be able to play those creatures and go fight with them.
Okay.
It's called the battle line.
That is
It is
an
the battle line.
innovative name. Clever.
See, I can say whatever I want because I'm off screen. It's only you two, so I'm the mysterious voice from beyond. The voiceover man.
Gosh. When you play your creatures out, they do have to be played on a flank, and they come out exhausted. Can't say tapped. Oh, I said tapped.
It's the same designer.
Some of them will have abilities when you play them out there. That's something you kind of learn just as you play.
Okay.
Artifacts are cards that you can use during your turn, and they stay out here permanently.
Okay.
And then your creatures, they come out exhausted. The end of your turn, you ready everything, and the start of your next turn, you can start using them to do stuff.
Okay.
There are 3 different things that you can do with a creature once it's out there. The first thing is you can go fight. In that case...
Who dies first?
You would choose one of your opponent's creatures and match them up 1-on-1, and you would compare the power value right there. This functions as both how much damage they deal, as well as how much damage they can take.
Okay.
However, in this case, this creature has 2 armor.
Ooh, nice.
So he would deal 4 here, he would swing 3 back, but only one of them would actually hit him. So he would have 1 damage, and then he would go away.
That's right, he would. Oh, wait, I'm fighting my own deck.
I think we found JD's competitive nature.
The other thing, back to the race element.
Okay.
Take a pause from bashing.
All right.
Any creatures that you have, they don't have to have anything printed on the card. Along with fighting, they have the ability to reap. And that means you tap them like normal, but instead of fighting or anything with them, you're just going to gain 1 amber and add that to your pool.
Okay.
And again, once you get to 6 amber, if you still have 6 amber at the end of your turn, then you'll be able to forge a key, and do that enough times, that's how you win. Of course, there's things that your opponent can do to take away that amber, and there's almost always a turn for your opponent to respond, so there's a lot of back and forth.
No, they can't steal my amber. How do I stop them from doing that?
Well,
Do you have creatures with abilities and things and artifacts that can help,
Sure.
defend yourself?
So, let's say, in this case, your opponent is sitting over here at 6 amber, and you want to stop them.
Yeah. I only got 1. That's just greedy.
This specific creature has ability where when he comes out, he has a play ability, and it allows you to capture an amber.
Ha!
So you would take that from your opponent's pool, and now it sits there on that person.
Well, all right.
Now, if anybody comes along and takes him out, they get it back.
When do I get to pull it off my creature into my pool?
There's not a way to. So this is more of a tempo thing and just stalling the other player.
Okay.
Now there are other cards. This is this. You almost certainly have. Oh, yep, there's one there. So this creature, when he comes out, he actually steals 1 amber. So you're taking that amber from the opponent, and it's going straight into your pool, and you're keeping it.
Good, I like that. As
So
long as somebody doesn't do it to me.
So you can play. Once you play your creatures that are out on the board, you can fight with them. You can reap with them to generate amber. And some creatures will have an action ability on them. So if they're on the table and you haven't used them yet, you can tap them and just use whatever the action is on there.
Okay.
And in this case, this guy just steals 1. So he can sit out there, he's not generating, he's not fighting. Though you could use him that way if you wanted to. Really, you're just going to put him out there and have him keep stealing stuff from the other player.
Yeah.
That's the basic mechanics. It's pretty easy, it's back and forth. It's very simple to pick up. Very difficult to master and figure out what all the cards do and everything.
It sounds like you have to be subtle to be good at this game.
There are elements of that, certainly.
I'm not great at subtle.
So one of the really great, unique things is this, the chains.
Ah, yes.
Right? Because I'm not aware of any other game that incorporates a handicap system.
Sure. I'm
Sorry.
not sure if you have...
Hand model. Which one?
Do you happen to have any cards that generate chains?
Yes. Oh, there is. Let's see. Do you believe?
Well, I can talk about it regardless. If you find one, we'll show it. At the end of every turn, you always draw up to 6 cards. There you go. There's a caveat to that. Some cards you play will say gain 1 chain. And you have a little chain tracker over here. In increments of 6, as you gain chains, you have to draw 1 less card at the end of your turn.
Okay.
So it's kind of a balancing mechanic where you can have like some really powerful cards in your deck, but if you keep playing them, you might keep getting chains, and now you're only drawing up to 4 cards at the end of your turn. It's a bit of a built-in handicap and catch-up mechanic. It's pretty interesting.
Nice.
I haven't quite seen anything like that, you're right. That can also be used for organized play. Though we're still waiting on details exactly how that works, but they have a digital companion and an app out already.
Wow.
And eventually the idea is to use people running tournaments like me to input results after a tournament. And say we have a store championship here at Petrie's, 1 deck wins. Well, you don't want people to keep coming back and winning with that same deck over and over again.
That makes sense.
So they might get, say, 4 chains, and now they can bring that deck back for another store championship, but they're going to start every game with 4 chains and give their opponent a card advantage right at the start of the game.
Oh, man.
And you can take that deck and go up the next level to regional championship without any chains or anything. But it kind of discourages people from bringing the same decks that might be a little bit more powerful above the curve. Keeps them from just winning with the same deck over and over again.
That's pretty clever.
It's interesting. It hasn't been implemented yet, but it'll be fun to see how they put that in there.
Well, we don't have too much longer before the next kind of event here for Keyforge, so
we're back to the big picture. What's really great, there's the starter set, which is normally $39.99. That comes with 2 identical starter decks. Well, when I say identical, they're the 2 same starter decks in every starter set.
okay.
So it allows people to learn the game and just the basic mechanics to jump right in. And then it comes with 2 unique decks and all the tokens. But what's really cool is this thing sold out like super fast. So my son and I, we didn't find out about it till 3 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And all we did is we bought decks and just came up with substitute tokens. And that's what's great. I mean, $10 a deck, you buy a couple decks, and you just grab some bits from other games that you have or whatever lying around, and you can use pennies, dimes, nickels, whatever, and you can get into it, which I really like. It was very inviting.
Having come in from Fantasy Flight's other games, love their other games, especially their LCGs. Netrunner is still my all-time favorite game. But one of the problems you had if you want to play those games competitively is you were encouraged to purchase 2 or 3 core sets at the beginning. So if you wanted to get into a game and start playing in tournaments and stuff, even at the casual level, you were looking at spending $60 to $80 on a couple core sets just to play and feel like you could compete. $10 for one deck and you're in.
Now the starter set only has a summarized rule set. It's like a quick start guide. The full rulebook, 24 pages, is online. And a lot of people thought Fantasy Flight was skimping out on money by not putting it in the base set. Well, I'm here to tell you, there's a reason. One, you can download it on your phone, on your tablet, easy, but it's a living FAQ. So anytime they make a change, it's updated. What's interesting is the first PDF that came out in November was actually like on version 7 because they were already encountering all this stuff. And so at the end of the rulebook is a living FAQ. So for those of you that think that they skimped out by not putting it in the core, relax.
They're just being adaptive.
Exactly. It's technology, I mean, you put it on your phone, it's easy to scroll. Save it on Google Drive, not graph paper and a calculator. It's okay. So,
if you've been
for
looking at
those
my
of
computer,
you that are too young to know what those are, they were pieces of paper with lines drawn on them.
So, Matt, thank you very much. Thank you very much for explaining the game.
Absolutely.
We're down to our, final
2
4?
games left. Final 4.
Final 4. And it's not even March yet. So, for those nerds, geeks, and dorks, that was a sports reference. It's okay. So, I'll let you get back to it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for hosting.
It was great to meet you.
Thanks for teaching me.
Oh, absolutely.
So, that's it for part 3 of the Guild of Gamers live podcast by Petrie's Family Games. I had to think. So we'll be coming back and after a short break for our part 4, our final segment for the day, where we're going to talk about, JD and I are going to talk about the 2 games that we are looking forward to in 2019 that aren't yet released yet, but we're really excited about. So be sure to come back, and thanks for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
And welcome back to the Guild of Gamers live podcast by Petrie's Family Games. This is episode 1, but part 4.
Just in case you missed, that means that there's been 3 others earlier today that you can go back and watch anytime, or you can wait until we have glommed them all together and put them up on our YouTube channel just for you.
Yes, and we're going to be making a lot of changes to our YouTube channel. Talk to the big boss man himself, Mr. Cameron, and we are going to be creating playlists, event playlists, the live cast playlist, just things that we're going to make announcements. We're really going to start cataloging and providing you folks great content. So you feel free to message us on Messenger right here on the Petrie's Family Games Facebook page. What kind of videos you would like to see? Do you want to see guests? Do you want to see interviews with designers or tutorials how to play a game? We've got Game Fest at the end of April.
That's true.
I saw the guest list. I can't say anything. Cameron made me sign this non-disclosure agreement, that pesky NDA, but it's going to be awesome. So, I almost feel sad that this is our last live cast for today.
I know, it's the end of our time with you all. We have cherished it dearly, but it's now time to let you know what our most anticipated games of 2019 are as of course, January. because I think that might change as the year goes on.
Oh, yes. Because we like games.
That's true.
And
Games here. And
so-
so
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, no, I was just going to say that if you'll allow me, I will start with my most anticipated game for 2019 as of right now, and a lot of other people's most anticipated game, which is Wingspan. And Wingspan is the latest game by Stonemaier Games and has been doing incredibly well in its direct launch this month. We hope to get it in the stores sometime around March, April, when we're going to have our own little wonderful, beautiful little box that I'm looking forward to. But Wingspan is a really cunningly designed engine builder style game. And while I am not, necessarily a fan of the kind of aviary theme, I have to admit that as I have watched this game being played and described, and just the components and pieces they're kind of making me fall in love a little bit. I'm not gonna
I would
lie.
have to agree with you, because at first when I saw the components, they just seemed kind of cut and dry. Kind of like that old school Castles of Burgundy, muted colors, very simple.
Right.
The graphic design is very simple. It's not going to be like you see it on the table and like, oh my gosh, what is that? Unless you see the bird feeder and the custom eggs. But like you, as I started watching previews and how it played, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. And having the fact that the deck is full of entirely different birds, and that the actual real world information that is included on them is part of the gameplay, but it's also just really interesting information. So it's like a teaching learning tool that you can use, which will make it really adaptable for homeschoolers, but it's also just really clever, the way that they have instituted it, because you are part of, you're an ornithologist.
Yeah, because the cards list
Yeah.
their habitat, what they eat, which is an integral part of the game.
Right. And it tells you the region, their wingspan, a lot of information. It has a lot of, potential for expansions into birds that are not part of the northern continental area. So it just is really, really pretty. But the other thing that I really love is that it is a strategic game that requires you to make tactical decisions right from the beginning. So you have to decide from the beginning how you were going to play that game. And that means that you can have an adaptable style and play it and replay it with a different style the next time. And it's just really allows you to be the captain of your own fate. But it also means that for you people that might be a little lost in the weeds sometimes, that you can, if you just stick to one strategy from the beginning and go with it, then you're going to be doing really well. So I am really excited. It's a tight game. The components are tight. Just the packaging itself is very much just a well thought out design overall.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Jamie Stegmaier and everything he's doing. He's putting a lot into the production, the presentation, the storage plan in the games. I mean, he's cooperating with game trays and everything, and he's learned a lot. And what I love, he blogs about it. It's not like it's secret information.
Right.
It'd be awesome if, there are a lot of publishers that follow him and learn from his lessons, but man, I wish so many more would. It would be so awesome.
Yeah, it plays in about under an hour usually. It's just a really good, quick game, and I love good, quick games.
Nice. And I actually had a pre-order copy piffed to me.
What's a piff?
On BoardGameGeek.com. PIF stands for Pay It Forward First. So part of a group of users where there's been 300 PIFs, and basically what it is, it's a really awesome, generous way. So the way it started is like, hey, so-and-so deserves this game. Is anybody willing to send it their way? So what happens is, say like you were first or you're next, and they look at your wish list, they send you an offer, and I'm like, oh, that would be awesome. So you accept their offer. They ship it to you. Well, they post what they're shipping to you, and then the chain continues. We all look at the person who piffed you, we look at their wish list. And if we have something in our collection, we offer it. If they accept, we ship it to them. And then the next person goes, and the next person goes. It's a really cool way to rotate through your collection, because you're not going out and buying new games unless you're generous, unless you really want to. It's kind of like Secret Santa. I think Santas enjoy Secret Santa more than the receiver. So it's ways that people on Board Game Geek are just paying it forward. And I had given a game, my copy of The Gallerist by Eagle Griffin Games, and that's a big game, to somebody that was on their #1 most wanted. And so I was next in line. Somebody was like, hey, would you like a pre-order of Wingspan? I was like, yes, please. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the world is filled with great people, if you just look. So, my most anticipated game so far
Right.
is Reavers of Midgard, which was a Kickstarter project started by Gray Fox Games, another publisher that has been doing a lot of stuff, and it was 3,100% funded. 3,100% funded this past November.
That's nuts.
I know. 5,900 backers helped bring it to distribution and unlock stretch goals and improve the game. It is the sequel to Champions of Midgard Universe, which is a great worker placement dice combat game. And the dice combat on Champions, you're fighting NPC monster cards, you're not fighting each other. But it's a great worker placement game, one of the smoothest out there, that's up there with Lords of Waterdeep, Pieto, and things like that. But, and Reavers is designed. I can't talk today. The whole Keyforge tournament has me a kerfuffle. It's designed by J.B. Howell, and it's a single worker placement game. You get one worker.
Oh no.
One worker. So, but it has elements of set collection, dice combat, engine building, things that you all saw on Champions, but in a completely different presentation. And I really, at first I was hesitant because I'm like, man, I really love Champions. If I buy Reavers, is it just going to end up replacing it and I'm not going to want to buy Champions? They're significantly two different games. And what I mean by you get one worker, so basically what happens, whoever's the first player is, they have the choice of the board. They're going to take that one worker and place it at a location. Then in turn order, everyone else can either follow or pass. But if you follow, you get less of a reward than the player before you. And then they get a lesser, and it goes around. So then after the round resolves, the next person, like if you were next, you take your one worker and you put it on location and you go around. So you really only get one true choice of the game during a round is you get to go first. So turn order is really important in Reavers, there's benefits going first and there's benefits of going last. but the production quality was great. What you see on the screen was the final stretch goal. That's the graphic design of the player boards, and they were recessed. So you put bits. If you don't know what a recessed board is, it's like a double thickness board with cutouts. So when you put the bits in, they don't move around, you know, because Cameron comes walking up with those big feet and bumps the table, right? So, so I'm really excited about this one. And who doesn't love Vikings? Vikings are awesome. And it came with custom dice. The custom engraved dice, they just feel so good. They're not wood. They are, I don't know what dice is made of. Some kind of polymer.
Yeah,
ABS, highly polished, but they're engraved and they're beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Recessed boards. I just love it. Ever since Scythe came out from Stonemaier, and they had the recessed boards. The only thing that makes me frown about recessed boards is Colorado, because the dry climate, so they want to curl a little bit, so you got to put a lot of heavy books on top to get them to flatten out.
I haven't had that experience yet, but I don't get to pull mine out very often. It's just the two of us, me and my man.
So those are our two most anticipated games of 2019. Wingspan by Stonemaier Games and Reavers of Midgard by Grey Fox Games. We hope they will be here soon. Like Wingspan will be first, end of March, end of April. Man, I can't remember when Reavers is due. I mean, it just funded in November, so... Oh, it's due to hit continental United States November, but it's Kickstarter. It, you know, could get delayed with the holidays, so most likely Reavers of Midgard will probably hit January of 2020. So
we'll see.
But
maybe there'll be some surprises.
There'll be other games for us to play.
That's true. So that wraps up our time for the final segment of the show. But we've been having a great time. This has been an awesome experience. And we hope that you found some useful information along the way and that will help you join us next time. Or, you know, just come on down. You can stare at us through the window like Nathan's been doing for the last 20 minutes. It's not creepy at all.
It's creepy. Makes me uncomfortable. I have to position myself so I don't see him out of my peripheral vision.
But we will be back on February 2nd for our live cast from the annual Couples Dessert, which we, of course, encourage you to sign up for in advance because we do have limited space to make sure everyone's got elbow room. And
dudes, $25. This is the least amount of money you will spend on you and your loved one for Valentine's Day for an awesome experience. $25. Seriously.
That's true. And we are going to be playing our favorite two-player games. We will be introducing you to some new options for maybe your family fun night. And, you know, we will be back. But we want you to make sure that you know about it when we're back. So make sure that you set your notifications to remind you when we go live.
So we can waste so much precious time of your life. No, seriously. We've had fun. What other social media platforms can they follow us on?
Well, we are, of course, here on Facebook, which you should know since you're here. But we are also on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Google+. You know, we do all the Twitters and the social medias. We're young and hip here.
Like, follow, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. And just play games and have fun.
That's right.
Bye-bye.